adventures for days. We got adventures for days.
What is happening, Tardsquad? We're back again for another epic video. Tbolt, our friends up in Pennsylvania, has sent us all kinds of cool stuff to put on Bubs' bike. They also sent us the banner, our hats, our shirts. We got a whole box of goodies. This is just some of the parts that they sent us. I actually got a clutch kit for my KLX 110 as well. So we're going to do a review on that after we get it on. But tonight what we're doing is we're going to put the KLX 110 up on the table, and we're going to put this brand new clutch pack in. But if y'all need any parts, make sure you check out our boys over at Tbolt USA and tell them the Tardsquad sent you, so they know where the people's coming from. So here we go. So, hi diddly ho, here we go. All right, guys, so what we're doing today is we're taking the side case off and we're going to replace it, the clutches. Got some clutches from Tbolt. We'll tell them thank you for sending it out. And this looks like it's got the heavy duty springs. The factory ones only have 4 springs in them. So you go back with 6 springs, and makes it grab harder. So we're definitely going to be using those, and we're going to be changing this out because I don't think it's ever been changed. Okay, so you want to drain your oil, and it's under your plate here. It's under your engine plate. So that's the first step. Just drain this oil out. She was definitely due for an oil change. Drain that oil out, and then you can proceed to step 2. All right, so now you need to take your kickstand off, or you can do it in other steps, but this is how I do it. Take your kickstand off. That requires a 10 millimeter. Pop that off. Push your bolt where you're not going to lose it. Slide your kickstart off. I like to clean behind here when I have it off because it's all nasty, so I'll do that here in just a bit. Or right now with this rag. There we go. So now you're going to need an 8 millimeter to take your skid plate off. Okay, so I got those out. And then on the bottom, let me take you with me here. On the bottom now, you're going to have 2 12 millimeters you got to take out. One here and one here. Take those 2 out, and then this skid plate comes off. That way, you need that out of the way. Actually, you don't even need that out of the way. Yeah, you do, because you got to take your foot pegs off. So you got to take these bolts out. There's actually 4 of them. 2 here and 2 here. So take those 4 bolts out, because you got to get the foot pegs off in order to get your side case off. So let's get that. 12 millimeter. You get your first 2 bolts, the ones closest to the motor out, your skid plate will come off. Like so. Then you can take the time and clean all that up because it's going to get dirty again. But you can tell this thing has actually did its job because there's dents in it from my big behind on it. But yeah, you can clean this up or whatever. This is going to get dirty again. And then you got to take the 2 12 millimeter bolts out of the rear to get these foot pegs out of the way. All right. You might be able to fish this out, but what's the best bet is just go ahead and take this this cotter pin out of your brake rod here. Take that brake rod off. Then you can pull this brake down and get this out of the way. I wouldn't recommend messing with the spring. Just push it down by hand and take your sweet foot pegs off. And look how much crud's under there. Where's my camera? There you are. Nasty. All right, now since you got that removed, now we can go ahead and remove all the Phillips screws from out of the side of the engine case. I've already made sure I could break these loose before I got started. So I don't want to get so far into the video and then have a stripped one, or you know, if you're watching this, you work on stuff, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm checking to make sure all these are the same length, because I'm not 100% positive if they are or if they're not. It looks like they're going to be, but this is just a good way to double check. Just lay them down there. As you can see, roll chair. All right, let's continue. We're getting on around here now. Took 4 out. I'm not sure how many we got here total. 5. Yep. Good call. Good call, partner. Push your brake down. Slide that side cover off. Like so. Put this back here. All right. So as you can see, I am going to put a picture up of Bubs's. But he doesn't have any of this assembly here because he has a manual clutch. He don't actually have this stuff here going to this. So I got to make sure I do this correctly, because I've actually never did one on automatic or semi-automatic catalytics before. So I'm gonna have to remove this, get to the clutch. So first things first, let's find out what size this is. So hollied out to 17. It's bigger. Okay, so what you need to get this off is a 19 millimeter. 19 millimeter fits right on there, and yank that off. Slide this assembly off. Oh, my bike's about to fall. No, baby. Away. Okay. Take 2. Slide this assembly off. Do not pull this apart. No. Tearing stuff off that I shouldn't be tearing off. You go back there. First things first, it's you, buddy. Well, let's take it off in 2 pieces. All right, so there's your, looks like a flywheel. Mine's kind of chewed up too. It's not too bad though. All right, now this whole assembly can't come off yet. It looks like you have to pull this off with the clutches. So this you pull this off on one assembly, but I like to leave it to which way I know how to pull it back on. Here's what you might need your needle nose. Just take out that bearing, and it's deeper on this side. The deeper side goes in, okay? The longer side goes in. So I put it face down. All right, let's see if this is a 19 as well. Tis it is. Tis it is. So that's a 19 millimeter. Ooh, and that's what's crazy is look. Mine actually has 6 in it. So I don't know if that was Bubs' deal or if that's how Tbolt sent out that kit on his bike with the manual clutch, but mine apparently has 6 in it. So awesome. But I know they got to be wore down because the bike's a 2002 model, and I've did a lot of wheelies on it for the past year. Even taking my foot and kind of clutching it up. So these new clutches are going to help tremendously. So we got to need a 19, and I'm going to use the impact on that if I can get it in there and zip that. So after you remove your second 19 millimeter bolt, you can push a brake down and pull both of these assemblies out at the same time. And this, whoa, that's the inside. Let me put that back on. Goes inside here. Like that. This right here is what we're needing, guys. This right here. This should slide out of this basket. But let me show you something. Okay, you see how this one is in its own cradle and all the other ones are not? Got to make sure it's the same. So when you take this apart, however they come out, that's the way you got to put the other ones in. Okay? Check, check, okay. So these are 8 millimeter. I'm going to use my impact driver and zip these off for you. All right, so there's your top plate. Set it to the side. And then some of these KLXs, like Bubs's, it only had 4 springs. So if yours has 4 springs, that's okay. Tbolt supplies you with 6 springs and 6 bolts, so it's all good. So you take out your other springs here. Actually, we can take this top plate, this off, and then there's all of your clutch disc and plates. So what we got to do here is see the order it comes out. So the first one is a disc, and then the metal ring. Disc, metal ring, disc, metal ring, disc, metal ring, disc. And then this stays in there just like that. So the first thing that we need to put in is a disc. You want to put your disc in and make sure it goes in the long slot. Then a metal plate. Want to line them up. You're going to line these up, okay, with that base plate. So then we can do another disc. Make sure it's in a long slot. And then another metal plate. Disc. Just repeat the process. The same procedure. metal plate, disc, metal plate. Now your last disc, remember, it goes in the short slot. Like so. Now if you look in here at all these, I didn't line them up. If you don't line them up, you can take you a screwdriver or something and make sure that they're all lined up. Like that. As you can see. Well, they're not all perfect. There. Everything lined up because you got to line it up with these gears. The teeth. Alright, so when it goes all the way down like that, there'll be a little gap there. Like that. Then you can put your new springs in. Alright. Whoops. Then you can put your top plate back on. Now this is kind of the tricky part, and it's a little easier with the impact because you got to compress these springs while you get these started. So what I like to do is just push my hand down on it. A certain spec, but I've never had any problems. What do you know? There's bosification pulling up. All right. So now we can get our old springs and clutches out of the way. Remember, we gotta slide this on. At the same time as we're putting this on. Alright guys, so after you get these on, what you need to do is you need to take your 19mm socket, and the easiest way I found to tighten these back up is to use an electric impact. You can go to Harbor Freight and get one for like 20 bucks. That's what I've been using, and it's worked just fine for everything I've needed it for. So tighten these up with the electric impact, and then that should be good. Now you're going to take your bearing, and it's going to be the deep side goes in, okay? If it's the shallow side, it's not going to work. So you got to put the deep side in here. So we're going to put that in like so, and it should sit flush, okay? It's going to sit flush in there. And then the next piece that you're going to put on is going to be this piece, and this piece slides in the middle of that bearing like so. Kind of just chills there. Now this piece here, if you look, you have two slots right here. So you need to line it up with the two slots that's on here. See if I can get you closer. See them? Okay, guys. So the 2 slots on this is going to sit on this and line up with that. But you got to line your slots up. Like so. Move this, slide this in there. Just like that. Okay, so that's all back together. So then you take this piece. It's the same on either side. And that rides right here. Like so. So this is a semi-auto, guys. If you're skipping through the video, this is a semi-auto KLX 110. So this is what your assembly is going to look like. If you have a manual clutch on your KLX, it's not going to have all this stuff. Okay? Keep that in mind. But the clutch pack on this video, it's the same on doing these as it is on a manual clutch. So now what we got to do is we got to get our, since we got everything tight, we got to put our side cover back on. So that's what we'll do next. All right, since we got all of our bolts tightened up on our engine, or case here, you want to make sure it's sealed all the way around. Going to take and put our foot peg assembly back on. It just slides under there, and it has, as you can see, 4 holes. So you got 4 bolts that goes through there. You want to put the 2 in the rear on first, and then you want to put your skid plate on before you connect the 2 in the front, because that's what the skid plate connects to. All right, so we got our foot peg assembly back on. It was 4 12mm bolts down here, 2 8mm bolts attached to the cylinder there. After you get that done, now you can jump over to your brakes and getting your brakes mounted back up. So all you really got to do on this, we didn't have to change any adjustment. I got my back tire in there. There we go. We didn't change any adjustment back here. And that's the main thing about me when I ride, is when you change stuff in the back and your adjustment for when you're wheeling. So that's the best way to do it. You're going to slide, you're going to push, pull this brake in and push your brake arm through the hole there. And then reinstall your cotter pin. Done. Now, if you notice on my bike, my brake lever's bent, and that's from going down on wheelies. But I kind of ride my brake like this when I'm riding, so I can feather the brake when I'm riding a wheelie on it. I need to get me another brake lever, and when I do, I will be going over to the good folks over at Tbolt USA to get everything I need for the KLX, because they have tons and tons and tons of pit bike parts. They don't just do Kawasaki's, they do Hondas and all of the little bikes. So make sure you check those guys out. Tbolt USA. Tell them the Tardsquad sent you. Okay, so back to it. We got our brake assembly back on. We didn't loosen any bolts on that. Now all we have to do is reinstall or kickstart. Is there a mark on that? I'm not sure. I should have marked it before I took it off. That looks to be fine. Perfecto. And then reinstall your 12mm bolt back into the kickstart. All right. After you get that tightened down, now what you want to do is you want to make sure that you put your oil drain back in. Remember, we drained the oil first. That was the first thing we did on this bike. So now what you want to do is make sure that I think it's a 17, yes it is in the bike and is tight. And mine is tight. So what you do next is put some oil in it, set it down on the floor, give her a kick and let her sit there for a minute, and then ride that bad boy. So that's what we'll be doing next. We're going to set it down on the floor, put some oil in it, and see how the new clutches feel. We just got the clutches installed here. Just got the clutches installed from Tbolt on the bike. I didn't do any adjustment or anything. So we're gonna go see if, see how they are gonna do. See if I can still wheelie with the brand new clutches on here. KLX. I'm gonna tell you right off the rip what I noticed. It feels like it grabs harder, but the actual spring is, the shifter is stiffer. First, second, let's do a little second gear. Oh yeah, she grabs good. No adjustment needed. Just left her right where it was. Wave at this old lady. Hey, old lady. She didn't wave back. There we go. Third gear. Brush pile. Yes, weekly guys, if you like that video, hit that subscribe button.